So my question just sort of focuses on two sort of different things you've been talking about. One, which is focusing on the decisions people make and how that influences how successful they are. And two, you made a comment saying, in America, we don't afford you, equality of wealth or things like that. We give you equality of access.
Well, equal access to rights, not equal access.
Okay.
There is a difference. What I mean by equal access to rights, obviously, is I mean that no one's going to get in your way, that the rights that you hold are the same as the rights that I hold, but when I'm saying, and if somebody blocks them, then that's blocking your access. But what I don't mean is that a person who has $1 million in the bank is equally situated with a person with $5 in the bank, because obviously that's stupid.
Yes, and I would agree that that's stupid.
Good, we're in agreement on stupidity, all right.
Yeah, something we can agree on. I do want to sort of extend that into, I do personally believe that the number one factor in a lot of these sort of things are the decisions you make. But a lot of what affects your decisions is sort of where you start out, and sometimes that's like a long sort of cultural argument and things like that.
True.
But other times it's something more basic like, well, if you weren't born into as wealthy a family, it's harder to go to a nicer college, and you're pressured to take another job so you don't finish high school, or you have to take care of, it's a single parent household, which you didn't decide, your parents made poor decisions.
Yes.
But then you have to take care of your little siblings or things like that. So then it becomes harder for you to maintain your job, and you lose that. So I think there's a lot of sort of things that
100%
affect
this is correct, yeah.
Three sort of key tickets you've talked about that are heavily influenced by factors entirely out of a person's control.
Well, I mean, not having babies out of wedlock is definitely not influenced by factors beyond your control. I mean, unless you have uncontrollable genitalia. So that's it. So the fact is that just because you had a single mom doesn't mean that you have to follow in the pattern. Bottom line is that when you have cycles of poverty, somebody's going to have to break that at some point, and that's going to take an act of will. When it comes to graduating from high school, the number of people who are dropping out of high school because they need to support their family is incredibly low in the United States. But if that's the case, then I'll give you an example. There's a listener of mine who's a young woman, I think she's probably 18 years old, who emailed me the other day, and she said, you have your 3 rules, right? No, don't have babies before marriage and finish high school and then get a job. And she said, I love your show. I agree with everything you say. I also broke one of those rules. So I have a baby. I had a baby when I was 15 years old. And what should I do about that? And I said, well, I replied to her and I said, well, what's your social structure like? What did you have your parents nearby who can help out with your kid? Do you have a church that you belong to, people who you can rely on? And she said, well, I'm not really a member of a church. I don't have like a huge social structure. I have my mom. My mom's also a single mom, because there are these pathologies where there are generations of single mothers. And so what should I do? And she said, well, I went ahead and I got my GED. And now I'm trying to go to community college, but I don't have money for childcare. I don't have money for childcare. My mom works. So what should I do? And I said, well, why don't you put together a GoFundMe and get it to me, and I'll push it out there. And so she sent me a GoFundMe. I put $100 in the kitty, and an hour and a half later, she had $6,000. The reason that I did that, and the reason that I tell this story, is not because I'm such a wonderful dude, although I am. The reason that the reason that I tell this story is because there is a world of willing people who are willing to give and help you escape these things if you want to make the effort. There's whole groups of people out there. There's whole organizations dedicated to helping you escape making bad decisions, dedicated to helping you get out of poverty. And if people need to find these things, then please email me, email your church, email your synagogue. There are entire religions dedicated to this. And this idea that there are these inescapable chains of poverty, that no decision you make can help you escape these things, if that's true, then we're not doing a good enough job on a private level. But I don't think it's true. I think the American people are the most generous people on the face of the earth, statistically speaking. That is eminently true. Republicans, by the way, do give much more money to charity than Democrats, mainly because they're religious. And so our goal as individuals, not as a society, because I don't like to talk about our goals as a quote-unquote society. Our goals as individuals should be to help people make the right decisions so they can escape these bad decisions that they were about to make. And people's goals as individuals should also be not to make the bad decisions. These cycles cannot be broken by a government coming in and trying to fix them. Government tried to fix poverty in 1964. The war on poverty has now been going for half a century, and by percentage, the same number of people are poor. Okay, so this is just not working. We're going to need to do something else, and it's going to need to come down to individual decision making.
Just to end this, I want to thank you for your personal kind charity, especially.
You don't have to. I didn't give you money.
I can thank you for your kindness to others, and I am very appreciative of everyone who does that. I just personally don't believe that that's going to be the solution for everyone out there. But once again, I thank you for coming and speaking here, and I thank you for advancing the cause of charity, even if you do it in a way that is politically different from my own.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.